let's hear about some tales from the trenches.
Yeah.
And let's get a sense of what people's actual experience sharing their likes and dislikes are.
Yeah. It looks like we have Molly on the line, and Molly is calling in asking, when do you draw the line? So I'm very intrigued, Molly. Please tell us a little bit more.
Hey, ladies. So my question is really about balance. Like, what I'm finding is, if I go on a date and I say, oh, I dislike that or I dislike this, like, if I say that enough, I wind up getting pegged as, like, really high maintenance and I like this person. And then, like, if I say, oh, but I really like what you're wearing, or I like this, or I like when you did that, like, then it becomes almost like I'm too eager, and then guys lose interest. So I'm just, like, wondering, how much is enough or not enough? Like, how do we balance this? Because it seems like it's delicate, and I'm not quite certain how to gauge.
Good question.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Molly? The first thing that I noticed is that it sounds like the focus of your question is really about how you are being perceived with the, the man that you're on a date with. He's going to think I'm too much or high maintenance, or he's going to think I'm too bubbly and over the top. Rather than really about you and your experience. What do you make of that?
Yeah. Yeah, say more.
Well, our assumption is that people who are dating, an assumption around here about dating and about relationships in general is that we use them to develop ourselves. So you're coming at the question of developing yourself sort of from the sideways angle of more like, how do I get him to like me? And that's a secondary question to who do I want to be as I'm out dating, right? And I think what you want to be is, authentic Molly with a set of likes and dislikes. And you would like to be with a man who's interested in being authentic man X and will share his likes and dislikes back with you. When you say you have dislikes, he'll come back at you and say, yeah, I get that, I'll take the feedback, or I dislike that you're pointing that out because it's a sensitive spot for me. Or when you have likes that you're sharing, we'll say to you, God, I'm getting a little squirmy about this. It feels like you're just a little rosy-posy about this and we don't know each other, or whatever it is. You want more than just a man who'll call and ask for another date. So that's the first sort of like overarching thing I want to call to, along with what Rachel's saying is like him liking it or not is not the point, which you know already. But that said, there is actually research on how much we need to express our likes. It's not exactly likes, it's not that specific, but the Losada ratio is a concept that comes to mind here when you're talking about the balance.
Yeah.
And I forget the first name of the researcher, but let's just say Mr. Losada, okay, did the research on couples, on relationships, and in work situations, and found there is an ideal ratio for productivity in those relationships. Of positive comments to critical comments. And the thing that was sort of novel to me as I heard that research was the positive comments aren't just things like, I like your shirt, or I love your dress, or you really cleaned up for me really nicely, or I love that you think about those things. It's really anything that actually sees a person authentically. Like even a criticism could be a positive in the Losada ratio way of looking at comments, because it's like I took the time to notice you and give you feedback from that place of caring. And the negative comments are more the kind of things that John Gottman would call like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the critical, the cutting, the ones that are like fundamentally negative in tone, or get at like, I just don't like you, or I you're horrible is basically the tone of those sorts of comments.
Yeah, and what we're doing here is we're taking this research and then we're sort of integrating it with this curriculum that we have about, likes and dislikes. That sounds so black and white, It's like, Molly, what are you liking and disliking? What kind, how are you in rapport? Is it is it a criticism with a vision? Is it, there's a lot more sort of detail about what's useful in a fight and what's not useful in a fight, and how to do this. I'm curious specifically about what's coming up, in your likes and dislikes.
That's a lot of questions to answer. I think like what I am sort of relating it back to is a person who I actually just stopped dating yesterday. And I'm having a hard time finding things that I like sometimes, like with the men that I've been going out with. Like I'll like that they're nice to me or they call me, but like not much beyond that. Like I think that I'm just having, I haven't really been out with men that I really just like as people in a long time. Like there's usually something positive about them that I guess I appreciate, but it's like it's not really like I actually enjoy who they are or what they're about. I'm meeting people, that's for sure, but I'm not necessarily liking them romantically.
Understood.
Yeah.
Deeply understood. Yeah. So I'm recalling as you're talking an assignment that Dr. Bob Wright gave the women on staff probably a year or so ago, which was essentially to date all men. Now, that's not a argument for polyamory or something right there, but I clearly remember when it was given because it was before I was headed to a friend's wedding on the East Coast. And I remember, meeting up with guys who were friends of mine in college who are all married to wonderful women. Clearly they're not available. But I remember being at that event looking at them as men and like, as one was making me laugh, I was like, what about it? What about that was funny? It was kind humor and it was whatever. There was a way I was going about being with all the men at that wedding that was sorting out what do I like and not like. And I was especially drawn to looking at the ones I like as just a way to kind of, I don't know, it was like the Amazon marketplace of men for me, of, these are like fundamentally good people attached to the other good people in my life. There's probably a lot to like here. And it felt like a really good experiment for a time of going out into the world of men, looking at what I like and dislike and not having to have the burden of actually being in relationship with them about it.
Yeah,
it was a little less risky.
Yeah.
But it I did identify some things out of that and got in touch with kind of my own values and things I was raised with or things that are assets about me. So I'm stopping short of like proposing that as an assignment for you, Molly, but I kind of want to,
Yeah, well, what I love about
Do it then.
Yeah.
Okay, it's yours.
Yeah. Well, what I like about that is that it's really you taking on the assignment, Kate, for yourself.
Yeah.
And sort of bringing it back to where you started out, Molly, about what is sort of this idea of am I too much? Am I too high maintenance, too needy if I express what I dislike versus this is who I am and I'm going to learn about what I like and what I dislike and learn about myself through it. So it sounds like that sort of different approach and internal vantage switch might be what's called for, Molly.
Yeah, no, I think like a lot of that rings true of like just figuring out what do I value. I think that's part of my struggle right now is just like, I don't know, I like it when nice guys are nice to me. There's not a lot of information.
Yeah, exactly. I so relate.
Yeah.
And there's just a truth to be told to yourself that you might be high maintenance and that may be beautiful. This is something I'm learning about myself in expressing some dislikes about my current situation is like, no, I need to be spoken to. Maybe not on a daily basis, but on a every 4 days basis, I need to be spoken to, actually voice to voice by the person I'm in some kind of relationship with. And I'm getting to confront, does that mean I'm high maintenance or does that mean I just have an actual standard of quality for my relationship as opposed to text? I think it's the latter, and it involves some work to come around to that on a moment by moment basis where it's like, oh God, I need him again. Oh God, I'm asking for things.
Yeah.
No, but I know what what a high quality relationship looks like, and I have to keep learning in every interaction to like champion myself as like that standard bearer for what I want in relationships. So like, damn girl, you're high maintenance. Love it. You know, we've said before, like, raise your freak flag high on whatever it is that makes you you in relationships. But yes, you have a high, you do expect more than men. You expect more of a man than for him to be kind and polite and like you. There's way more, and you deserve way more. So celebrate it.
Yeah.
Be high maintenance and let him rise to the challenge. I don't know what I'd say to the men out there who might be listening at the same time, but this is
my thought is in my situation, it's like, you know, when I have, you know, I've expressed dislikes and I've sort of received some feedback that's like, well, I don't like that you're disliking.
Yeah.
But my response is, you know, I want more opinions and thoughts also from the men that I'm dating. I
Yeah.
want them to meet me.
Yeah.
If I'm expressing more, you know, and the response back is like, that's a little much. It's like, no, come meet me
Yep.
here.
Yep.
I don't want to be the high maintenance one with a, you know, with kind of a passive aggressive
Yeah.
man who's going to eventually be fed up with my wanting. I
Right.
want somebody who's willing to want with me.
Right. And the thing is, your wants are meaningful. They may even be on the level of yearning. Whatever you're finding that you dislike, and that's sort of where these liking and disliking assignments for us go, is to then use the liking and disliking in the service of your yearning. So you're not saying like, I dislike your pickle breath or something like that, although that may point to a yearning to be respected or something like that. It's like your wants are so not insignificant. They're not, you know, tawdry, paltry, whatever the word is, like they matter, and they're things worth going for. So keep going, Molly.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Molly. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Will you call in and tell us how it goes?
I sure will.
Thanks.
Okay, wonderful.